Next funnel on the tier list, the call funnel, but direct call funnel.
Yeah,
and we have to explain for the audience what that actually
yes.
is.
So direct call funnel is you lead with the offer. So the offer's coming out, usually in the ad or extremely early in the marketing process. And, it's like the polar opposite of the way things used to be back in the day, back in the OG days. I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Yep.
I think in general, let me kind of separate the two things. So first of all, just direct advertising, I would almost always start with for two reasons. Number one is much easier in most cases to get that to work than to get, some indirect, super long marketing process or copy. So that's number one. Number two is, and I think this is just as important, even if you're in a niche or an offer where you're not sure, like it kind of seems like indirect might work better, the direct is just so easy to make, you might as well just try it. Like there's not really a reason not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're saying, direct, because you said call funnel, that could be an app funnel or VSL funnel or anything, right? I would just say in general, I would typically always start with direct. If we're talking, did you mean by call funnel, you mean like VSL
Well,
funnel?
yeah. So in this, the difference between the call, it's really a VSL funnel, but the traditional call funnel is, if it's direct, is the ad is direct, and then the VSL is direct, and it's essentially, the ad might be 90 seconds, the VSL is going to be 5 to 15 minutes, but it's all direct. So the VSL is also going to start direct, and then our framework is you state the offer. I mean, the first 90 seconds of the VSL is very similar to the first 90. It's basically the ad.
Yeah.
But then the only difference is you tack on more information supporting why it works so well. So it's kind of like a reverse sales letter in a way, where it's like, here's everything you need to know, but then like there's more stuff at the end for the higher information buyers to want to know, okay, well, why does it work so well? Which is why the second part of so you probably want, if you want to know why this works so well, so that's probably why it works. I mean, if you've watched my ads, this is like, that and the app funnel is basically the bread and butter.
I would say both of them are, I know I said A tier. I guess technically we say S tier. Maybe I said A tier for the application funnel.
Oh yeah, we meant S tier. Yeah, we meant S tier. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously direct call funnel, I mean, same thing. Like it's very, very good.
Let's just remove S tier and only go A tier because it's, now we've already confused it. So A tier is the best for us. So I would say that the call funnel, add to the VSL, then do an application, etc. Still A tier. And sub question, with or without an opt-in?
Well, let me just say this. Most of the time now, if you track things properly, without having no opt-in is going to yield just a better result, lower CAC, all that. If you can get the opt-in to work, that's ideal from a building your email list and that whole standpoint. With that being said, for the love of God, if you do get an opt-in to work, please do not do your pixel conditioning on a lead event. Like, for the love of God, do not do that with a call funnel.
Yeah,
that is terrible. But in general, I mean, we removed our opt-ins a long time ago, and mainly just from a front-end cost per acquisition. It's significantly better in most cases, but it's one of those things I would always test and just see. Yeah.
I would say, for anybody wondering, basically the advantage of having an opt-in is that you have more leads for your setters, and you have more leads that are going to book through email marketing on the back end.
Correct.
So how do you know? Basically, if you remove the opt-in, you have to get a cost reduction as such that it outweighs what you would have gotten from the setters and the emails.
Yeah.
So the percentage I tell clients is that it's about 30%. So I would be willing to pay 30% more cost per book call from like only ads direct calls, not obviously with everything combined, if it's through an opt-in.
Yeah.
If it's anything more than 30%, it's just better just to remove it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if it's like, I'm trying to think of what if I was getting $130 or $100 calls, I would pay probably 130, 150 to 150 cost per book call if I could add the opt-in.
Yeah.
Because the setters are going to book the best calls, and also a lot of good closes come from email for whatever reason.
Yes.
They do. But once we've tested it to where we've had certain funnels where essentially adding in the opt-in doubled the cost per book call, or like flat out just it didn't even work.
Yeah.
It was like $2,000 cost per book call.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So in that case, it obviously works better.
Well,
to do
and
direct.
this preassumes that you have a good setting team and you're
Yes,
doing consistent
yes.
email marketing.
Yes,
you
which
know?
most people aren't doing. So then if you're not doing any of that, you just don't do the
Definitely
opt-in.
don't do an opt-in,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. If you enjoyed this podcast, you're also probably going to like this podcast I also did recently that you can check out by clicking the screen right here.